Well, I wish we were talking about a win in game one for the Guardians, but let's be very honest. The Guardians did not deserve to win this game at all. There was nothing that they did in this game they deserved to win outside of Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams, and I guess we'll say the bullpen, was the only thing on this team that deserved to win in game one. And it's not really an unexpected outcome. Everything in this game that happened is 100% believable. The Guardians and how they got here to this point, how these two teams play, how the Guardians in this spot was unpredictable. So you thought maybe there was a chance to expect the unexpected, but the Guardians, how they got how they got their run, how they got here, how this game unfolded, everything went as expected. The Guardians didn't score enough runs, first and foremost. They had opportunities. Let's be honest about this. They had some opportunities, right? They had a runner at second base. They pinch hit Bo Naylor. He didn't come through. They had other opportunities throughout this game as well. They obviously had Jose Ramirez on third, and it was a gift. It was gift wrap. Nobody out. Jose is on third base. Somebody in that situation has to hit a fly ball. That was the fourth inning, too, when they scored that one run. They had more chances to score more runs then, and they did not get the hit. I have no issue with Brian Rocchio laying down the bunt there. I know some people were not happy about the 2-out bunt, but that has been what worked with Tarek Skubal was getting bunts down and making him apt to field, and I have no issue with that. I think that was the right call. It just didn't work out. What they didn't deserve to do, though, and the issue I have with Stephen Vogt in this game is that they were trying to balance offense and defense. It's the approach to this game, and I'll put comments on. So if you're commenting, you're tuning in. This is Locked On Guardians podcast. We're just going to sort of recap kind of what went on. I'll get the reaction from you. Normally, this would be a Locked On Guardians postcast, but we don't have an official postcast yet this year. Maybe we will next year. But I'll take all your reactions. I'll react to all your comments from this game, and I will just kind of go through my thoughts as we wrap this up. This is not going to be a whole podcast. It's just going to be a live version on YouTube reacting. But yeah, the Guardians didn't deserve to win this game for a couple of reasons. Again, they didn't hit with runners in scoring position. They only hit one ball out of the infield. That's not going to win you a lot of games. And you could say that's Guards ball. They Guards balled for a minute there. They did. They had the infield single by Martinez. They scored on some weird stuff, right? That's Guards ball. That's how you got to beat Tarek Skubal, at least if you're this team. And even honestly, better offenses had a hard time with Tarek Skubal too. They didn't get him out of the game early enough. They didn't run the pitch count up. It took him a couple times through to get his pitch count up. But you knew it was going to be hard to beat him. And you didn't even beat him the first two times. You beat the Tigers with him on the mound. You beat them with some weird stuff. And you could have easily had a better approach of the play. You could have had a better game plan going into this game. You needed a better game plan. You needed a better set to go into this game. And the real issue I have, everybody watched this game, you know what happened, right? Jonathan Rodriguez, been saying this forever. He is not a good defender in right field, period. Point blank, period. That was a play in right field that Manny Ramirez would have made. That's a play in right field that a middle school or JV player in high school makes. All he had to do was pick up the base hit. If you pick up the base hit, you field it, you throw it in, Kerry Carpenter's on first base. And that blue hit to left field by Spencer Torkelson doesn't drive in a run. All Jed Kenson-Noel has to do later in the game is step on first base. That run doesn't score either. They can't pull off the safety squeeze. Simple as that. And those are the two biggest areas of your team that you knew you were going to have issues with defensively. There was nobody else in this team that you were going to sit there and say you're going to have issues with. That was the only one. And it came down to that. It can't come down to defense. And here's the thing I have with Stephen Vogt that I don't like. He talked about how the Guardians had to score runs. To beat Tarek School, you have to score runs. I disagree with that. You do have to score runs. I'm not saying you don't have to score runs, but the real issue is what Stephen Vogt said here is they put in Rodriguez and Noel for offense. Yes, Rodriguez had a nice offensive weekend against the Rangers. Not Tarek Skubal. He didn't have a good offensive weekend against Tarek Skubal. He had a home run off of a left-handed reliever from Kent State who was making a spot start. He had a couple of good hits against the Rangers. That does not equate to hitting fourth. And I understand there's really maybe not a whole lot of other things you can do. My real issue here is defense. I disagree with Vogt, and I'm not saying I know more than Vogt. This is simply second guessing because that's what we do here. My disagreement is you're not going to score a lot off Stephen Vogt or off of Tarek Skubal. You're just not, point blank period. I know he's saying you have to score runs. You do have to score runs. But you are not going to beat him 5-4 or 7-6 or whatever. You're not going to beat the Tigers doing that. Not with Tarek Skubal on the mound. You're going to have to win 2-1, 1-0 when you're this offense. If you have better offensive hitters, maybe you could say that. But with this lineup, you cannot say that we have to win by scoring. Because that's not how this team got back into the race and got back to the playoffs. This team got back into the playoffs with good pitching, which they got, timely hitting, and good defense. The timely hitting is going to come and go. It really is. It's cyclical, and you do what you can against a pitcher of Tarek Skubal. You do what you can with these offensive players that you have. You can't sit there and say, we're going to have to win by scoring. That's obvious. But you have to prevent runs against Tarek Skubal. Every run he gets on the mound is a percentage chance you have closer to lose. They had to play better defense, and Jonathan Rodriguez made a JV baseball play in right field. He gave you nothing offensively. John Kenzie Noel gave you nothing offensively or defensively. Now, he did stop that ball at first base. It was a hard play. I didn't expect him to make that play, but I expected him to step on first base to get the out. And I'll say, to be fair, I think Noel's a good defensive first baseman. I've seen him play a good defensive first baseman. I think he can play first base. It's just a very bad play at first base by Noel. But neither of them gave you up anything offensively. And you should have had somebody in there to balance out defense and offense. Put Kyle Manzardo at first and DH Rodriguez if you want him in the lineup so bad. That guy should not be in the outfield. I'm not saying it's all his fault because they didn't do enough offensively, but in a game against a pitcher like Tarek Skubal with the offense that you have on this team, run prevention to me is number one because that's who this team is. This team does not beat teams by scoring. They beat teams by run prevention and timely hitting. They did not put out a lineup today that was going to help with run prevention. Everybody could see that coming. All right. That's why I said they didn't deserve to win. I'm still working as I'm going through this too. So we're going to keep reacting while I finish up work today, but I couldn't resist getting on here. So let's talk. All right, so yeah, Guardians, Bob M, need to find bats or find fielders. You can't play two guys in the playoffs, either first or right. Yeah, I agree. Freak out has commenced. Anthony says, "Yep, you're 100% right." I mean, Travis is right. Got to hit the ball out of the infield. Kyle Manzardo had the only ball they hit out of the infield. Can't have Valera Manzardo bunt. No, you cannot. in that situation. I would have maybe sent up CJ Kafis. I would maybe set up CJ Kafis instead of George Valera in that situation. Jose should have kept running. Yes, Matt's right. Jose should have kept running. Not sure why he stopped there. I'm not sure why he stopped. I don't know why he just. I mean, I understand you're running on contact. That's not really a surprise, obviously. You're running on contact, and if that ball like drips away a little bit from Will Vest, he's home, and this game's tied at 2, even though it should have been 1-0 Guardians. Let's go through to. Hey, keep your comments clean. This is a clean channel. I'm not going to put your comments up on the screen if you're not going to be clean. This is a PG, maybe PG-13, but no swearing. Yeah. No reason to play J-Rod. I guess he was hot, but he was hot against a team that was not as good as Tarek Skubal. I have no problem with him being in the lineup, honestly, because I don't know who you're going to put out there unless you just go against platoons, which they're not going to do. But the issue is defense. I would have maybe rather seen him DH overall. Noel's at-bats were just horrendous. Again, I mean, I think you pick one. I think you pick one of Noel or Rodriguez in the situation, and you see what happens. And I would have rather had Kafis somewhere else. Yeah, you're not going to hit all. See, that's the thing. You're not going to hit a home run off of Tarek Skubal. You're just not. Like Noel did once. So maybe Noel was the pick to play right field. Noel's actually a better right fielder than Jonathan Rodriguez. It's not all on Vogt. I'm not going to blame it all on Vogt. The decision-making was poor. The Guardians had opportunities to cash in. Again, Bo Naylor pinch hit with a runner on second base. Petey Halpin, a base hit, scores that run. The Guardians had 2 chances to score runs with Jose on third, or 3, I should say. But all they needed was a fly ball from Valera or Manzardo. They didn't get it. And you could say maybe I would have set up Kafis, but bottom line, the guy's got to come through. That's what's got to happen. Yeah, I mean having Rodriguez behind Jose is not exactly inspired confidence, but it is what it is. It's where they're at. Yeah, you can't have Jonathan Rodriguez out there Jonathan Rodriguez defense in the 8th inning didn't hurt him. It hurt him in the 1st inning. Jonathan Rodriguez defense happened in the 1st inning, and I'm not surprised. I mean, I was waiting for it the whole Texas series for him to hurt them defensively, and he kind of did, but really didn't, and he made up for it with his offense. In this game, he gave you absolutely nothing. Yes, Nolan Jones missed on defense there. Nolan Jones missed on defense. Thank you, DCM, covering the Guardians, win or lose. Yeah, it was a tough one today. Yeah, very tough one. Anybody would have been a better defender in right field. Noel, David Fry. Maybe David Fry, even in his current predicament health-wise, would have been better out there. Yeah, neither of these guys can play the outfield tomorrow. I mean, Noel's not a terrible outfielder. He's better than I thought he would be. But you just cannot put the ball. You can't punt the ball out there in right field in the 1st inning. You just can't. Gavin Williams deserved so much better. He was so good. He matched Skubal pitch for pitch. Both those runs are unearned, just very unfair. Those 2 guys just really hurt you. It should be a 1-0 game. Thursday can't come soon enough. Yeah, well, if Thursday gets here, Chad, hopefully that means the Guardians are playing because they won on Wednesday. Yeah, I get Skubal's in trouble. Roki hit the bomb to win it on Sunday, but he hit that off a reliever that's not good for the Rangers. Okay, this is Tarek Skubal. It's very different, and he did exactly what the Guardians do to score runs. I have no issue with it. I think it was the right play. It just didn't work out. It is what it is. You're not going to get home runs from Brian Rocchio all the time. Sheeman or Valera in right field. I think you'll see Valera in right field on Wednesday. Maybe you'll see Chase DeLauder. He is here. I don't know. Yes, this is a great comment. It's Basic Econ 101. Marginal benefit of the platoon from J-Rod Noel, not worth the loss of defense. Normally, I don't think Noel is a bad defender at first base. Normally, he's good. He just made a bad play, not covering the bag there. But considering he gives you nothing offensively, it's not worth the risk. It should have been Kafis at first base, if you ask me. I would have DH'd Kafis, or I would have put Kafis at first, DH Manzardo, put Noel in right field, because at least Noel hit a home run last week or 2 weeks ago off of Tarek Skubal. Yeah, exactly. Again, can't leave runner on third with no outs and not score. That's happened too much for them. Valera and Manzardo both had chances. Arias did as well, and didn't get it done. And I maybe would have gone to Kafis there. That's just not going to work. Swing early with Skubal. Well, you can try to swing early with Skubal, and they try to do that later. But the problem with that is if you make contact, make weak contact, guess what? You're giving him easy outs, and he's going to go 9 innings. So you got to be careful. And you can't go after his fastball either. You can't just sit on Skubal's fastball. Like you could try to say I'm not going to swing anything else but a fastball, but he's got 4 good pitches. Like he is the best pitcher in baseball. And the only guy that's even in his stratosphere is Paul Skeens. But yeah, overall, I just think that it's annoying that they talked about how they had to score off Skubal to win. Yes, you have to score games. You have to score runs to win the game, but you're not. This is not a team that wins by out offensing the other team. You don't out hit the other team. You win by getting the hit at the right time and playing good defense and pitching well. They pitched well. They had chances to get the big hit at the right time, didn't come through, and they didn't play good defense because they put the wrong defenders in the wrong spot. It hurts to lose. If the season comes to an end, we're going to talk more about this on the actual show for Locked On Guardians on Wednesday, but I think Tanner Bybee is the right guy to do this spot here. Let's just keep going through and taking your comments at this point, because I'm going to wrap this up shortly here. But if you want to keep getting your comments in, I'm still kind of rolling down, catching up. If we can. Don't like Jose running on contact there. Yeah, I get that, but that's the way the Guardians have played all year. That's how they had to score runs. And Jose's a smart base runner, and he, maybe he forces a bad throw at home if he keeps running. But he paused and gave Will Vest time. So I think it was just a rare base running mistake by Jose. Yeah, exactly, Andrew. Should have kept going. He should have kept running. I think that was the mistake, not running on contact. That's who he is. And Vest made the right play. When Jose stopped, Vest did the right thing. He ran right at him. You got him into a rundown. Jose should have kept running, and at the very least, you do this. And I know Manzardo's not fast. It was Manzardo because Valera struck out. But if Jose keeps running, he either forces a bad throw home and he can score, or at the very least, he gets into a rundown or scores. Manzardo goes to second, maybe a pinch run for him at second base. Or I think they already pitched Ranch Neiman. Either way, you got a better runner at second base with 2 outs. At least you have a better chance than a runner at first and 2 outs. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Yeah, this was a great pitch game. Gavin Williams was on fire, man. I mean, this is the Gavin Williams we've been waiting for 2 years now to arrive. He should have won this game. If his defense makes the plays, Gavin Williams gets to talk about beating Tarek Skubal head-to-head in a playoff game, and that's unbelievable. Bryce, we didn't get to talk about this on Tuesday's Locked On Guardians. We should have, but we talked about how Jose has actually been more disappointing in the playoffs over his career, and he needed a big game. It took an error, but he also had a hit in this game as well. It is what it is. I have no issue with the platoons. It's just they don't work. You got to have the personnel to do it. And I would have started Noel over Rodriguez. I don't think Martinez's defense didn't really have the issue today. Manzardo is not a great defender at first base, but he's still better than he's not better than Noel. I actually think Noel's a better defender at first base than Manzardo, but everybody in this chat is a better defender in right field than Jonathan Rodriguez. I'm not going to make any bones about that. No, I don't think the team needs to make the ALDS. Like I certainly don't want to see this team eliminated in a span of 24 hours or whatever you want to call it. But I think if you take into context what's happened this season, for them to even get in to the playoffs is a minor miracle. It really is. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, the only thing that matters is winning. Like the context of the season matters, guys. Like they got hit with a lot of crazy stuff to get back. No, the Tigers, I don't think will go full pitching chaos tomorrow because they're going to throw Casey Mize. Casey Mize has been really good, so I don't think so. It is what it is. So partying back-to-back games, no, the Guardians did not party that hard. I think they partied harder on Sunday because they won the division plus the walk-off. But Saturday night, I was told they didn't party a lot. Like a lot of guys were home at a pretty reasonable time. And if you noticed, if you're watching on TV, a lot of those guys were not really drinking beer. They might have been drinking champagne, which, you know, it is what it is when you're talking about alcohol. But a lot of guys were pouring the beer on each other. So I think they were pretty responsible. I was told that most of those guys left Saturday night pretty early for a celebration. So that's why they were able to come out and play on Sunday the way they did. This is funny. So the Cubs are playing right now. They're up 2-1, and Matt Boyd started that game, and following him in the game is Drew Pomeranz. So ex-Cleveland pass there, getting the job done for the Cubs. That's kind of a kick in the groin as well. Let's see overall. Yeah, I mean, Bybee and Mize head-to-head, I like that. If you get to game 3, I'm surprised that the Tigers didn't go to Jack Flaherty in this game because I guess he thought if you lost the game against Skubal, or if you lost the Skubal game, you'd rather have Mize playing than Flaherty. But Flaherty versus Ciccone is a little more even on game 3 if you can get there. Let's see what else we got here. I will never cover the Browns. I could never cover the Browns. I don't do NFL. Only NFL I pay attention to is my fantasy team. That's all what it is. Yeah, so I asked, if you watch the crossover I did with the Locked On Tiger, so Scott Bentley, I asked him if defense was an issue for him, and he basically said not usually, but you could tell it kind of gets him out of his comfort zone. So there is that. Yeah, I mean, I came into the day saying that I didn't feel that bad. Like I was not really nervous. I wasn't really nervous coming into the day, and I got more nervous as the game went on, obviously. But I think the frustration level happened right away when Rodriguez made that error. Like it was one of those things you could just easily see coming, which was very, very frustrating. So I think that was the hardest part. Yeah, no earned runs, right. Gavin Williams deserved better. The bullpen got it done. Even Kate Smith got off to a bad start, but they got it done. It's a bummer. Kafis for sure is the best defensive first baseman on this roster. That being said, yeah, he should be playing first base. Kafis should be playing first base, bar none. I don't care who's on the mound because I think he makes more contact than Noel. But I would put Noel in right field if you need a right-hander. But on Tuesday or Wednesday, it shouldn't happen. Yeah, I know a lot of people are mad about platoons, and I get that. I'm not anti-platoon. I'm anti when you don't have the personnel to do it. If you all remember that Brandon Geyer and Lonnie Chisenhall made for a great platoon. Ryan Rayburn was part of a great platoon here. The Guardians have done it before. It's just they don't have the pieces this year to be a platoon. I mean, David Fry obviously isn't healthy right now, but this year he also wasn't the same coming back from his Tommy John surgery. So they just didn't have the pieces to platoon properly. It just stinks. Yeah, that's a good point. I think a safety squeeze with Schneemann over Valera could have been a good way to go. I do agree with that. I would not be against that at all. That's a good second guess, honestly, Mike. That's a good second guess. I think we could talk about that later too. Let's see what else. Quan is due. I hope so. Stephen Quan has been a nightmare since, in a bad way for Cleveland since the start of the season. This is exactly why the Guardians aren't extending him, by the way, just in case you're wondering, because the guy just can't be consistent. Yeah, you could have sent Hal Hunt the punt. I mean, I would have gotten J-Rod out of the game closer. I mean, the fact that he was in there for offense against Tarek Skubal is hilarious to me because the guy had no chance of offsetting his defense with offense. Not in this situation. Yes, platooning means you play to your advantage. Well, it's platooning generally is thought of as left right, and the Guardians don't have a great right-handed hitter. It just is what it is this year. Yeah, Jose. We didn't talk about this on Tuesday either, but Jose just has not had a great postseason run. Like he had a remember he had a home run in the World Series in 2016 that was big. He had a couple of hits in the Yankee series the one year. He's done some stuff against Detroit, but overall it's been a rough sample for him. Um, let's see. Yeah, Flaherty can be hit or miss. So yeah, if they have to go to game 3, I like their chances. For the record, I did say Guardians in 3. I said they'd lose to Scooble Start, win the next 2 because that's the Guardians have been this year. And that's the one thing I agree with Stephen Vogt. I didn't like Stephen Vogt's explanation of you have to score against Scooble to win. You could say about anybody, but run prevention's your best friend, especially when you're this team. But he did say, our back's been against the wall for 3 months. Why not any different? And he's right. So I think at least they have that. This is a great point by Henry, too. The fact that Manzo lefty, you don't want to get the ball to the infield against Scooble. Platoons don't need to be so rigid. Yeah, if you have 2024 David Fry, I'm all for David Fry being in there or players like that. But if you don't have the right personnel, you have to pick the best player overall, and you have to put the best roster out. And he put he put Rodriguez in right, who's a poor defender, who couldn't balance out his bad defense with offense, and Noel. I have no issue with Noel. I would have put Noel in right field. He's a better defender, and there's a chance he runs into one. I mean, he had a home run off Scooble a few weeks ago. I have no issue with Noel. My issue today was with Rodriguez, what became very, very obvious. Yeah, I got a couple questions during the game about rocking up Rodriguez. Not going to happen. Rodriguez is about Williams. Williams is a Scott Boras client. There will be no extension for him. I don't think CDL is going to start. I'd be surprised, but at the same time, why not? Right? Like, I'd give it a shot. It'd be interesting to see him do it over Valera. I'm not sure I know how that's going to play, but I think that maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance. He's on the roster. You might as well do it. But I think he's more there for a pinch hit and the experience. Yes, the defense killed them. Yes, that's the problem today. You could have won 1-0 had the defense not been an issue. Yep, this is a good point. When Terry Scooble leaves Detroit or after next year, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to have a great hit. They have a great bunch of minor league hitters, and Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, Jose Briseño, all that stuff. But they're not going to have any pitchers. Like their best pitcher is going to be Job and Mize, and that's going to be it. It's going to be Russ. And this is a good point. I'm going to end on this, guys. Doug's right. Cheer up. Biggest baseball. Anything can happen. I agree. The Guardians had a chance to win today. They could have won 1-0 and beaten Tarek Scooble and felt really good about themselves. If Jonathan Rodriguez gets that ball into the infield, doesn't allow the runner to second base, and Noel touches first on that ground, that throw to him, this is a 1-0 game. The Guardians win. Anything can happen. That's the way the Guardians have to win. But that's the whole point. They could have won this game. Could have happened, and anything could happen. We didn't expect the Guardians to even be here, did we? I didn't. You guys didn't. So anything can happen. I think Tanner Bibby's the right guy for game 2. I think they'll feel much better about Casey Mize. They have to get the splitter up in the zone. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But I do think this team's going to force a game 3. Anything can happen, especially with the way the Guardians have played the last month. So I'd be interested to see if the Tigers do spend to keep Scooble. I don't think they will, but we'll see. Yes, cannot sacrifice defense for platoon advantage when it's not an advantage. I absolutely agree. Yeah, Guardians are favored tomorrow. I think the Guardians force a game 3. We'll talk more on the regular episode of Locked on Guardians. In the meantime, make sure hit the bell on YouTube because I'll try to do this tomorrow after Guardians win. And you'll get all the pregame stuff as well and the postgame reaction videos. And as always, I tell you guys, auto download on audio so it comes right to your feed, whatever you're listening on. Tell a friend, and hey, if this is a great time to talk about the Insiders program too. We got to commiserate together on the Insiders program, right? We got to text throughout the game and talk about things. So join subtext.com/LockedOnGuardians. Hang out with us there during the games. All right. Thank you all. I appreciate all your comments, all the people listening in and tuning in. Go Guardians go. Stay tuned for the real episode coming your way later tonight. And keep the faith. As Mike said, anything, or it was Doug. Sorry, Doug. Anything can happen. And I believe this team will force a game 3. thank you all for tuning in and getting through it. And yeah, much better than a local radio freakout. I agree. So wish I could do it more. We'll do it again tomorrow if I have time. But thank you all. I appreciate it.